You are listening to The Insider with Brian Lloyd. The opinions expressed are that of the individuals and can sometimes be of an adult nature.
On today's Insider podcast, we're talking to Brian Quinn, director of Monged and a member of Filmbase's Masters Programme. Brian, thanks for coming in.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me.
No worries. The film Monged, I mean, you made this as part of your Filmbase Masters Programme, is that right?
This is true.
Yeah. And, I mean, were you involved, just in terms of the programme itself? I mean, how does it work? I mean, are you set the role of director, or is it elected, or how does it work?
Okay, here we go. So the course is a year long, and the first semester you pretty much do mostly just talks about budgeting and so on, things like that. Then you get into more practical exercises. Then you get into the production of the film itself. You get given a script. From that script, anybody who wants to be a director has to pitch to be a director, which means you have to go up on stage for about 15 minutes and pitch your ideas for the film. Also, you'll have to have a scene already done, and shot, like a pitch scene.
Yeah.
And also the Q&A afterwards. So pretty much it's like the X Factor, but in terms of film.
Yeah. And I mean, what was your scene about? I mean, was it a particular scene in the film that you had done, or what was it?
The scene I did for the pitch was not actually in the final draft of the film. So pretty much you have to go and the class we have is about 30 people, and you crew up yourself. So I got my DP, got my first AD people, got all that, and I went off, did the scene. I think about a few people want to be a director, about 8 people want to be a director, because there's 2 scripts, you see, so there's 2 films being made, and you pretty much go up one after the other, and then just they kind of share what you think your vision of the film should be.
And in terms of I suppose, I mean, do you have any kind of say in how the script turns out in the end, or is it basically just you have to work with what you got?
There are 3 directors for each film. So me, David Prendeville, Roy Mullen, we got given the script. First thing we did was we fine-combed it. We changed things we didn't like. We suggested different things. Now the scriptwriter is Gary Duggan and Barry Dignam, because it was based on the original play by Gary. So we just gave the suggestions in, and ones he liked, ones he thought worked well, he gave them back, which didn't really happen that often, unfortunately. But the ones we got back, new draft eventually, and then we kind of went working on that. So we give them suggestions, and they get kind of massaged into the script.
Yeah. And in terms of actually, because obviously it's film based, and obviously they're very well experienced at this sort of thing. I mean, were the lecturers or the tutors giving you any kind of pointers on it, or was it a case of you were just kind of let run with it?
We had a mentor. Each film has a mentor. So ours was Graham Cantwell. Yeah. He's done various projects before, Anton and the Callback Queen just recently. So he was kind of there, just kind of guiding us. If you had any questions or anything, or what do we do? Because pretty much what happens is you get your team of people. We had 4 producers in total, 3 directors, DP, and pretty much you just have that, and you have to go fundraise. We did pub quizzes, among more pub quizzes, fundraisers, just really hustled as much as we could. Went through agencies, did all that things, but we would get advice from our lecturers or the executive producers, just on how to approach agencies for actors and things like that. Which was it's really great, just being thrown in the deep end and then just kind of being forced to swim, which was great.
I mean, did it turn you off directing, being kind of landed with it like that? Obviously I know you pitched for it and all the rest of it, but is it the kind of thing that having seen it in real life, having experienced it in that aspect, has it made you reconsider it?
When I first did the course, I didn't want to be a director. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I just knew I wanted to be involved in the filmmaking process, because I did 3 years on undergraduate of film studies beforehand. So I knew I wanted to be amongst it, but I didn't know what kind of way. And 3 years I did before was very much kind of theoretical. So I was ready to get my hands dirty. I was ready to do anything, just get amongst it, And when I first got there, I didn't know what I wanted to be. And then we did different classes. We went to the Lear. We had workshops with actors. And from that, I just really liked it. And lecturers said, "Oh, you're good," and then that gave me confidence to. And also, when you pitch, it's like, why not? Why not pitch if you want to? And also, I didn't know what else to do. I wasn't very technical, I didn't have great. I think like directing is a lot of it. You kind of find yourself redundant on set sometimes because all you do is really you just whisper to people and kind of like a ninja kind of like prowl around. When there's people around you holding things and people look busy, people have clipboards, people have lapels, people have these things, and we're just kind of there, we do all the prep. It's all about preparation. And I guess the key thing I learned, I think the first struggle I had, I guess, as a director was just having to be on set and having to adapt. Because the biggest thing I think for directing is preparation, and then as well with that is being able to adapt all that preparation you did, all that storyboards, all those ideas you had into the the day itself. And you have to also kind of think of the impromptu mischief that the day kind of gives to you and try and deal with that and be flexible. It's really fun, but it's tough for sure, especially when you have two other directors on the same film. Yeah, that causes we had a pretty much sorted out kind of. We would pick our scenes, do our own scenes. We kind of decided that way. And we kind of made sure we were our brains were kind of meshed together in this big purple, pink globe, And I think we had struggles at times, but it was pretty good.
I mean, but this is what I'm saying. Like, if it's three directors, I mean, obviously it's the kind of thing that there has to be a sort of. I mean, did you just work out beforehand that you'd have a kind of tone throughout it, or is it the kind of thing that you wanted to have disparate tones throughout it?
No, I think especially with the film. It's not, you really need one tone. So what we first did, which was vitally important, and I would do it again, is because there were three people, we were like, okay, we have to somehow come together on something. So we mapped out the three most important key phrases, these spines, these words that we think every decision should be permeated into, So it was coming of age, trapped, and the other one was, I think it was coming of age, trapped, and duality. Those three words, and we kind of use those words to any decision we made. We have to be based on that. What I hate is when people make decisions based on, oh, it looks cool or that's cool. For me, it has to always permeate through the story and through those key phrases and words, or else you have no leg to stand on. So anything we had, if I had I want to do this, I want to frame him. Let's say I want to frame him between. I think there's a shot in the film where Bernard, who's played by John Connors, is framed between kind of stairs, these kind of stair rails, because I wanted to get the idea of being trapped, because he's always trapped in the frame always. So if you ever see the character, he's always just being trapped constantly. So I looked at things like Taxi Driver and how Travis Bickle is always constantly being trapped by the frame to the point where he finally breaks out of it and kills everybody. No spoilers alert. Sorry.
No, God. Actually on that topic, I mean, were there films that you watched as a kind of reference before you started or during or anything like that?
Totally. Loads. But it's always the case where you do all this stuff and then, well, I guess, so Trainspotting was one. Inherent Vice was another one, which it didn't come true, but Boogie Nights is a very big one. Me and David were we love the film, so we always talked about that because Boogie Nights has that glamour and that kind of it's fun, but also gets dark very quickly. It gets very sinister. Same with Trainspotting. It's very fun at times, but also very dark. And Trainspotting also has a kind of magical, almost surreal element to it. So we looked at those films. But also, having said that, I always think a film has about 3 stages. The beforehand, your ideas, your grand ideas, what your vision, making the film, and then also the edit. So you have all these stages for that to go through. So, something like Inherent Vice, I wouldn't say, although we, got so much from it, I wouldn't say it comes out in the final product.
Yeah. I mean, how long did you actually spend on the edit? I mean, was it a case of, did you set time aside? I mean, was there a specific timeline you said, right, you've got 1 week to edit it? Or was it a case of, let's just kind of roll with it and see how it goes?
We had a good, so we had to pretty much, we wanted to have it done for Galway Film Festival, Galway Film Flat. We did rough cuts, a lot of rough cuts. And the way we did this with the 3 directors and an editor, it's almost like having, just saying that, having those guys in the editing room trying to decide,
that's what I'm thinking.
Cut there and the frame off and the frame back on. we our editor Aidan Quigley, who did an amazing job. We had this way of doing it where we would go in with him in the morning, we would look at the first third of the film, so 1/3 of the film. We would make notes. We would all make notes, and then after the first third was screened, we would tell him like, oh, this and this and that and this, and then we would go off, and then he would implement those changes, and then next day we would review that, and then go into the next third. So it kind of eliminated any chance of us talking over each other. Because the worst thing I wanted was the editor to have 3 directors over his shoulder, like
shouting at him. Yeah.
Because then he becomes a monkey. He has no like creative input into the project itself. So that kind of shit.
How have you found the reaction so far? I mean, from those who've seen it. I mean, has it been positive? Has there been criticisms? I mean, how are you? Because this is your first film, so I mean, how are you?
First feature,
features. How are you finding the experience?
Yeah, it's great. I think we did a Galway Film Flat, so everybody was in a great mood. It was in the theater, so like in the town hall, so we were all very excited. It got more laughs than I was expecting. Like John Connor's character Bernard got like a lot of laughs. Like, and there's bits where like you think a laugh's gonna come up, and then it comes up. You think like there's not gonna be a laugh here, and then it gets one. And you're like, wow, that's crazy. So people really liked it. Yeah, I haven't heard any I'm sure there'll be some to come, obviously. But yeah, I'm just like, we're pretty happy with like the reception there, and hopefully like more to come,
More to come. I mean, has John seen it himself? I mean, has he seen it?
Yeah, he went. He saw some rough cuts, and he also went to Galway as well. Yeah. And he was happy with it. He was happy with the ending as well, like very happy with the ending, because it ends on a kind of a oomph, it ends on balls, as he says. Yeah. And I think like he's pleased with it, and also because like for him, I guess it's like it's almost like a risk, really, because playing kind of these kind of characters that are quite rough and like being in love, hate, and so on, and then moving on to this kind of shy, and he's like a sheltered character, Bernard. It's complete reverse, But then I think he really pulls it off. He really finds a way to kind of dig in and portray that character really well. But yeah, he was great from the very start. He was really interested in it, and interested in like finding the character. So that was great. Like when we heard like he was interested, we were just like, oh, this is amazing. Let's totally do it.
Like it's quite cool. Like I mean, for that kind of film, like, and for how it was made and so on and so forth, like to actually get somebody like that from Love Hate, it's really cool. It's amazing.
It gives it more buzz, and also like just shooting it was great with him, and he's a very nice and sweet guy, and he's really cool.
Very cool.
Have you seen the film? Have you?
I watched. Yeah, I did. I did watch it.
Tell me.
I'll say. I never like to do that to somebody's face, but what I will say is that I mean, it's obviously clear. I mean, it's the kind of thing that it's the kind of thing that you can see that you're learning, and I'm just wondering. I mean, was there one? If you had to give one big lesson that you took away from it, I mean, what do you think it might be? That you might have learned yourself during the shoot, or in the aspect of it. I mean, like work alone or something like that.
Forgive my pause for this, but it takes thinking. Work alone, yeah. No, I think like not work alone, but I think directors like have just be one director. Let me see, what's like the biggest thing? Just being able to fight, being able to fight for your voice, fight for the story, most importantly. So I find on film sets, I don't know if you know, but like it always like it gets to a point where the people around you start kind of
chipping in.
Well, they start kind of like their vocabulary becomes very tight knit, almost like there's a militant vocabulary where things like let's go, let's do it, we have to do this, come on, let's move on. And you as a director have to find the peace of mind and rise above that noise with your actors. Your actors can't be there among that noise, and that kind of like it's like an army, it really is. And always you hear people with metaphors of like the army. It's like being in the trenches and all this. You have to find a way of like hiding from that and kind of being in a bubble for yourself, just thinking about the story, because everybody else is thinking about efficiency. You're thinking about like I want to make this perfect, and the AD is saying I want to make this on time. There's an inherent conflict with that, So I would say just I think it's fighting, but I think like it's not in like an angry way. It's like you got to fight for the story, and people have to kind of see like that's the. But also I think just be. With all the prep you do, you have to adapt and just be open to it. Don't be don't pigeonhole yourself in the preparation. When you're there in the day, I think just soak it all in, walk around, see what's there, because there's a bit we went out and there's a scene in the film near the end, the school scene, and we got there and we thought how the characters enter the school with the door, maybe through the door or maybe from the stage. And we thought, oh, from the stage would be great because it is a play originally, and also these characters are coming off the stage because most of the film, these characters are kind of performing. They have a mask. Brings us back to the word duality. They have like one side of themselves and another, and it's all about kind of like the whole film. They're all kind of fronting each other. They have different sides to them. So when they come off the stage, it's almost like they're kind of done performing. They've come off the stage behind the curtain. They're kind of like, okay, I'm finished now. I'm going to be honest with you. And then the characters kind of break down and kind of their cracks appear in the facade. So that was something like that. It's like such a small thing coming from a stage, but it means so much. Especially when you, again, take those 3 words, duality, and try and any decision you have, like make it be from those words. So something like that, such a simple thing. But with my preparation, I never thought of like a stage on like the school. Never have a stage on it. Something like that, like something so out of nowhere. But I was like, yeah, definitely.
I mean, just actually on that topic, I mean, after having done this, I mean, is it the kind of thing that you would want to continue on in film, or is it the kind of thing that you'd maybe like try your hand at theatre? Do you want to stay directing?
I think I want to say directing, not because I'm very good at it. I don't think I'm very good, but I think it's the only thing that I can get away with almost. You know what I mean? Because I never like I said before, like cameras. Like I'm okay with cameras. I'm okay doing sound, but I'm not very savvy technically.
Yeah.
I think what I like doing is talking to people, talking to actors, and what I find is when you talk to actors that are really engaged and really into what you're doing, really into the story, those kind of words like and titles like director and actor, those kind of things that kind of separate people with those titles kind of fade away, and you become just explorers. You know, just kind of trying to like with your machete of curiosity, just slashing through the wilderness, trying to find the story, or trying to find the scene in some way. So I think like when you mentioned theater, I think theater is great. Like I would love to do theater because there is that immediate kind of almost a vicious like aliveness to it. It interests me, but I love film as well. Just pulling me apart. Come on.
Okay, Brian, we will leave it there. Thanks very much.
Cool.
How do we get to see the film?
Oh, it's on the 18th of October. It's in the IFI, part of Irish on Sundays. So just come on by. And there's also, if you're on our Facebook page, there's a chance to win free tickets. So please come. That'd be really cool.
Great stuff. Brian Quinn, thanks,
Cool.
Mel.
Thank you.